What do I know?
Vanilla,
Action. No
raspberry,
more about
and
that.
leather, depending on the diet, and they're allowed to label it as natural flavorings in food products.
Pretty natural.
You learn something new today.
All right, everyone's got their book.
Yes, sir.
All right. Whatever page this is, 5, 6. I don't know whatever page this is. That makes page 70. It says 70, 76, something like that. We'll see what. Some of these pages I can skip because they're not. This is an older manual, and no one won't. I'm still cold. I'm still cold. Okay. We're going to use the file tree to answer some questions. Okay, so we'll see what happens. So which one's considered a file? No, the actual file is the version.txt. This is a file because a file isn't a folder. We have folders and we have files. Okay? It's spelled wrong. It's unhappy because it's not spelled programmed. There's no space. Okay. Which is considered the root directory? C drive. Okay. What is a folder but not a subfolder? That one's actually program data. That's the only one that's underlined. That's right? Because Hunter and Aligner are subfolders of program data. Okay. And then I just answered number 4. A subfolder is either Hunter or Aligner. So, but Hunter's not in here, so it has to be Aligner. Question 5 should be if you're a right-handed person, because if you're a left-handed person, the clicks are inverted. So a right-handed version, which one are you going to do to copy-paste? You're going to right-click to do a copy-paste, and then you're going to left-click to actually do the pasting and all that. All right. Question 6, it says what kind of cable is being shown? USB cable. Thank you for not saying printer cable, although it is used to power up a printer. Or a USB box. Okay. It's tell you it's male to female A. Yeah. Male A, female A. A to A. Because that's why we're on C's, right? Because the B's are like the micro and the nano, and then C is just C. And then C will do an Android or an iPhone. Yeah. So we're going to start over here on the really old stuff. So you have a purple input and a green input. The purple these have special. Anyone know what these are without reading the answer key? These are PS2s. Okay, so what's the purple one?
Purple one is mouse. Green one is keyboard.
You are backwards.
Damn it.
The purple is a keyboard and the green one is a mouse.
You took that 50-50 with confidence.
Bro, he was killing it. Purple's keyboard, green is the mouse. So the thing with PS2s, PS2 will only be noticed on boot up. So if you didn't have a mouse on boot up and you plugged it in after the computer booted up, you still didn't have a mouse. That's the difference between a PS2 and a USB. A USB is more like hot swappable, where the PS2 only sees it on boot up. All right, so the blue output right here, VGA, because it's analog. The white output, DVI. All right, now so for the super nerdy people, that one is just that one's a DVI-I, because if you have the 4 other little pins, it's a DVI-D because you get more power out of the pins. So anyway, super nerdy. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The 6 on the bottom. USB ports, but that's not a USB port. What is the one on the top? 1394. It's a display port.
Oh yeah, like that weird.
Right? Yeah, it's got 2 pieces that are like yeah. That's what makes it a display port. I'm sorry? Yeah. Yeah, it is. You just plug them in. And then this one, someone said RJ45. This is your RJ45, your Ethernet port. Okay. These here are used for sound, right? The pink is your microphone, the green is your speakers, and then your blue is technically line in, right? So if you're coming from like if you're coming from like a soundboard or something like that, and you want to, because it's the same input. Okay. We have 3 different types of cables. These cables here are attaching what we call a peripheral, either a CD-ROM, a DVD-ROM, a floppy drive, or something like that. So the first one happens to be the newest type. So the first one is called a SATA, S-A-T-A. A SATA cable is 10 times faster than these other 2 cables, because these other 2 cables are actually considered IDE cables. And don't ask me what IDE stands for, because I have forgotten a long time ago. There is, but this one's weird. See how it's got a little cut, and you can see a little bit of air between there? Because that one's cut, what they do is they cut the ribbon cable and they have to twist it. So this one is technically your floppy drive cable, and this one is actually just an IDE cable. If you notice when you do this, the blue part here would plug into your motherboard, and then that would be your secondary, and that would be your primary IDE cable. So you'd have your hard drive plugged in here and your DVD drive plugged in there.
So progressive.
Good times. All right. SATA cables, you can only have one thing attached to a SATA cable. They don't have a piggyback SATA cable. SATA cables they're more like, again, they're more like USB cables. They move data a whole lot faster. I don't know how or why they move it a whole lot faster. But so everything that we have since WinAlign 14 uses SATA cables. We don't use IDE cables anymore. So, number 9. What are we doing with Device Manager? Yes, 9 is B. We're showing, because device is hardware. And then 10, we're doing Task Manager. List to play of all active software.
Or just the, could it be deep because you can click the different tabs?
Could be, but A is more correct, so we'll go with A because A is more correct. Does anyone know the famous how to get to the Task Manager, which is also called the 3-finger salute?
Yeah.
So you give your computer the 3-finger salute. But yeah, it's called the 3-fingered salute, which is how we get into Task Manager. Okay. All right. 9 is B and 10 is A, I believe. Okay. First one here. Power supply. Anyone want to give me a more nerdy answer? V2 power supply, because it has the SATA cable, it has the 5-pin with the orange connectors on it. So the ATX power supply is fine. ATX V2 because it has the big fan on the top and it's all that other stuff. Yeah. Which type?
HDD. Spinny disk.
Spinny disk, so it's an IDE because it has a big connector. So this is an IDE actual like 5400 or 7200 RPM hard drive. This is a SSD drive, which is also SATA. It has a SATA connector, but it is an solid state drive SSD, which means it doesn't have any spinny internals. We don't have one of these. You don't know. Will doesn't have one of these books spare, do they? For Neil, I just realized. Is there one over here? And then Neil can. I don't know if we got any or not.
Let me check.
Doesn't look like it. That's too thin. Okay. All right. I could use one. What is this? Oh wait. Not the Neil. Tell Neil we're on. What page are we on by now? 7. We're on 7. All right, we're on page 7. Okay. SSD drive, because it's solid state, doesn't have any spinny. If you can't tell what this is, it tells you right there what that is. It is an old-timey video card because it says VGA BIOS on it, because old-timey computers was just a motherboard and you had to add all of your cards to it. Okay. RAM. If you can read the sticker, I can't read the sticker, but it's just RAM. And then this is a CPU chip or central processing unit. This guy here, wireless network interface card, Wi-Fi card. Okay. And then this guy here, here's your big old motherboard. Hey, let's keep going.
No, sir.
On my third shot.
Yeah, I don't care about the class schedule.
On order.
Oh, what happened to my mouse? Table of contents, blah, blah, blah. I loved when they did this. It's so nice that they do this. It's just so nice. Which means it's not actually intentional. It's not actually blank, but it is blank. Okay? But it's just so satisfying. It's just so satisfying. Pre-class material. All right. This is normally where I tell you guys to take the left-handed page that's blank and you're going to write down a lot of stuff. So you can write down a lot of stuff or you can just wait for Steve to give you the video, but you're going to write down a lot of stuff because theoretically every single one of these PCs is no longer current. We don't even support specs for almost all of these PCs. So. HW1 is the only one that has a spec update for it, okay? 7071, yeah. 71 technically, but yeah. Not that you care. The only person that's going to see this is Jesse because he lives out in the middle of Ohio and they don't buy anything. 611 is just like dirt old. 611... The 611 ran like Winaline 6.
Piccadilly on it?
Not like Winaline 16, but like Winaline 6. Okay. Winaline 7 came out with the 811, and then the 811B was version 9. WA100s, WA200s is like version 11. Okay. Oh. Mr. Dave Sperry.
Actually, he is the smartest person in this building.
Oh, stop it. You're too kind.
Oh, yeah.
You're too, hey, Chris left a voicemail for you. He fixed. So, you'll be the closest one to Chris Hotz, but Chris Hotz is actually in the Jacksonville region, not Miami. So, WA100, 200 is about Winaline 11. The WA300, 400. Somehow the WA400 morphed into an HW1. I don't quite get it. I guess for you guys, we're going to start with the HW1. The HW1 is a black PC, but on this side of the PC, there's going to be a sticker, and that sticker is going to be blue. So if you open up the door to your aligner, you can basically tell what version of Winaline you're running and technically what version of Windows you're running by opening the door to the PC, okay? So like, again, not that blue sticker. There's going to be another blue sticker over here. If it has a blue sticker on here, it will be running Windows 7, but it's going to be, oh no, Windows 7, HW1's running Windows 7? Yep. We're going to go with Windows 7, and it's running Winaline 14. Winaline 14 is basically like all we go back to. You must have Winaline 14 even if you want to get on HunterNet. Anything older than Winaline 14, you can't get on HunterNet. Steve had it correctly. HW1s is the only one of these PCs that you can still get a spec update for. The WA300, 400s, the 2025 spec update was the last year for specs for that because it doesn't have the blue sticker over here. And some WA300, 400s were still running Vista. So we went to HW1s and we started running Windows 7 and it was a blue sticker, okay? Everything past here is going to be a black computer that looks just like this computer. Some of the differences are obviously we're going to have a different motherboard, but more importantly, the sticker color over here that there's no sticker, the sticker color is going to tell you what to do. So we have an HW1. We never had an HW. We did. So this is an HW1. The next thing over was an HW1B. An HW1B has a red sticker. An HW1B with a red sticker is running Winaline 15. HW1 is running 14. After the HW1B, we had an HW2. An HW2 had a green sticker. Now the problem is an HW2 and an HW2B, they both had green stickers. Okay, so an HW2 basically is either running 16 or 17. Okay. HW2 is usually running 16 with a green sticker. HW2B is usually running Winaline 17, but it still had a green sticker. Okay. The newest computers we have out now are the computers that you guys are installing in all the equipment nowadays is an HW3. An HW3 has a yellow sticker. A yellow sticker could be running a very late version of 17, but most yellow stickered PCs are going to be running Winaline 18, which is our current version of Winaline. So most, like if you're going to go to a new install tomorrow, you're going to find a yellow sticker HW3 PC running 18.
You said HW2 with a green sticker could run Winaline 16 or 17?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So
the B is 16.
the HW2 is 16. The HW2B is usually 17. Okay, and then if you notice right below it, the reason I keep saying it's either an A or a B is this sticker right here. It says like HW something something B, right? So this is an HW1B, and then it'll be an HW2A, an HW2B. Right now we're on HW3As. Okay, and it's literally just the first letters in the serial number of the PC. Okay, there's a sticker on the back of the PC. There's a sticker on the front of the PC. The only thing I can tell you is if you're going to put a PC either in a Winaline X machine or you're putting a PC into an inspection lane, we give you a sheet. It's a half a sheet of extra stickers. Take a sticker and put it on the side of the PC, because a Winaline X machine, the PC goes in left to right and you can't read the stickers. An inspection lane PC goes in left to right and you can't read the stickers. And you will forever be reading, like you're going to have to pull it halfway out and take your phone and try to take a picture of it. Or you could just at install, take a sticker and put it on the side of the PC that's facing out, and then you'll save yourself like pain for the rest of your life. Okay. The HW3 PC is actually the first PC that doesn't have an optical drive. We held on to DVD drives because that's how we used to put in software updates used to come on a DVD, which means we used to have to burn like 1,000 DVDs so that we could give out DVDs to all you guys, so you could go around, put the DVD in the DVD tray, put the key in, and then run the update program from the DVD.
Not cost-effective at all.
It's not cost effective at all. So now we have the service wallet, so you guys download the actual installer on the service wallet. Now all we have to do is send you guys out keys. The other thing we used to do is we actually used to send out 2 DVDs. There was a video DVD and then the install DVD. And the video DVD only worked with that install. So every time you put in new specs, you'd have to put in a new video DVD. So we were sending out, thousands and thousands of DVDs every year. And you guys would use them once and throw, you'd either use them as a beer coaster or you'd throw them in the trash. So we finally went to the service wallet, which is honestly very nice, because then you guys doing, we can update it a little faster. Okay. The good news for you guys, you don't have to worry about the certificate of authenticity sticker, because that went away with Windows Vista. So you guys don't have to worry about that. Introduction to hardware, hard drives. So for those of you guys who have never seen it, this is a really good picture of an IDE interface. If you notice, it's like a 40-pin interface versus a SATA. The SATA is on the left side and the power is on the right side. And SATA's like, there's pins on both sides, right? So there's pins on the bottom and pins on the top, and then the SATA connector comes in, and the SATA connector has pins on the top and on the bottom, and then we can put twice as many pins. Was that
Is that USB?
a SATA?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
IDE.
Oh, nice.
USB or
Oh, okay.
save an ID.
That's nice.
I have one. Source Rex over here. He's got
So-
it installed.
Dorcas.
Thanks, Steve. Dorcas Rex.
I came with so much stuff in my bag, I didn't realize it's in the toolkits.
One of the first pages I'm going to tell you to dog ear is 20, because if you're going to try to buy RAM or replace RAM in a computer, that any version of a computer, here, 611s, 811s, and then it goes down to like HW1s, HW2s. So no matter which version of a PC you're trying to buy RAM for, you know what we're using. Okay.
I was gonna say, isn't that
Yeah.
basically all obsolete info at this point?
The HW1s still, because we're still doing specs. You're gonna find somebody out there that's still running that. HW3s are running DDR4. So when you get into the yellow stickered PCs, it'll be a DDR4 RAM. Since I'm talking about RAM, I'm gonna spend 2 minutes on a soapbox. If you guys don't understand RAM, the best way I can explain RAM is you think of RAM as a one-lane bridge. So RAM can only move data in one direction, and then all of that traffic has to stop, and then data can come from the other direction. So if you're ever going to build a computer, or you want to add RAM to a computer, you have a stick of RAM. If you add a second stick of RAM, now you have like a 2-lane highway bridge. So this data can always go out and this data can always go in. For some reason, we at Hunter Engineering don't adhere to that. So if you have 4 gigabytes or 8 gigabytes, there's just going to be one stick in there. If I had 8 gigabytes of RAM, I'd rather have 2 sticks of 4, because it's literally going to be faster, because the data doesn't have to stop and go and stop and go and stop and go. It just has more throughput because it has more lanes of traffic. Okay. Since we are on RAM, our alignment machines come with 4 whole gigabytes of RAM. We are just slaying it with RAM. A Ultimate ADAS, because the Ultimate ADAS has to be hooked up to the internet and it has to run gimbals and all that other stuff. An Ultimate ADAS has 8 gigabytes of RAM, because it needs a little bit more just because it's on there. The new PCs for the inspection lane, because the inspection lane is cloud-based. All we're doing is running services off of the cloud through the PC. The new inspection lane actually has 16 gigabytes of RAM. Do you think they use 2 8-gigabyte sticks? No.
Is it
They're on a gigabyte stick.
Oh, 16
Yeah, they get one. It's just annoying.
Is it DDR4 for that?
Yeah. But why not? Why not just keep using 8-gig sticks and put 2 8-gig sticks in there and have better, communication?
So the bigger the RAM doesn't necessarily mean how fast.
It does, because now I can move 16 gigabytes at a time rather than 8 gigabytes at a time. That's how much data it can move in, like, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if it's like a tenth of a second or a picosecond or what.
You had a question, I know, I'm wondering. What is the actual difference between like DDR3, 4? Is it just faster?
Speed,
Yeah.
Architecture, I guess.
architecture. Yeah, so the people doing inspection live finally convinced engineering and IT that they needed 16 gigs of RAM. We should have been using 16 gigs of RAM since like 1995. Yeah. For For those of you guys who aren't nerds like Josh over here, RAM is like horsepower. Buy as much as you can. You can't never have enough, and you can always have more horsepower. You can always have more RAM. However, the motherboard will limit you as to how much RAM you can put into it. So always read your motherboard resource manual to see what the max RAM for that motherboard is. Okay. Be careful on RAM. If you're going to put more than one stick of RAM in, you have to be careful of the clock speed. RAM will always work at the slower clock speed. So if you have two things of RAM, even though they're two 4 gigabyte sticks, if one is clocking higher and one is clocking slower, this one will slow down to match the other one. So you have to watch your, it's called clock speed on that. Okay? Yeah. So just buy as much RAM as you can possibly get. CMOS settings, we don't have to worry about CMOS settings. This one right here will help you a lot. I'm going to ask you to dog ear page 24. Okay. If you don't, some people are going to call you and say, hey, I'm trying to install a new printer on my system, but it won't let me access the hard drive because, you know, because you're logged in as technician, right? So, and sometimes if they want to put in their own printer, it's going to ask them for a username and password so that they can actually add the drivers to the printer. If you give them out administrator and HECO service, they can go in there and they can change the passwords. And then they can lock you out of your own computer because the IT Nazi is going to like tunnel in from home with the Cheeto dust on his fingers, sitting in his mother's basement in his tighty whities. And then you're never going to get back into your own computer ever again. If you give them manager and VAGADM, which stands for Volkswagen Audi Group Administrator, this right here is good enough so that you can add a printer, or if you wanted to, I don't know, whatever you wanted to do that needed a password. If you give them this one, they still can't replace your passwords, okay? Because the last thing you want some guy to do is go in there and replace all the passwords to, like, you know, Pink Pony or something like that, right? Anyway, it's just good to know. Okay, this is I actually, to get into that router earlier today, I had to use admin and VAGADM because sometimes we use that on stuff because it's 6 letters. So anyway, 25 has the stuff for passwords for Windows 10. Bill Gates decided that you could no longer have a username called administrator because administrator's been used since 1964, and all of a sudden he didn't want administrator to be the administrator, so now we can't be administrator, so now we have to be hunter. So when you want to log in as the administrator on a Winalign 10 PC, which is a green PC or a yellow PC, you have to find the word hunter, and then you can put in the word HECO service as your password from hunter. But administrator is no longer an option. The other thing on a PC recovery, I don't understand why they do this, but in order to recover your hard drive, it has to be able to boot up so that you can hold down the shift key while hitting restart. So if you can't get the PC to boot up, you cannot recover the PC because there's no way to get to recovering the PC unless you can hold down the shift button while you restart the PC. And when you hold down the shift, you have to hold the shift button down. You have to wait for the PC to boot down, then you have to wait for the PC to boot up, and then it'll give you PC boot up options. So you're holding down the shift button for like a minute, minute and a half. You just keep it going, okay? Bill Gates does hate you, which is why he doesn't allow you to recover his hard drives anymore because they don't boot up in the first place. Yeah, he wants us to live in mud huts and eat bugs, and he's, you know, seeding the clouds and all that. Yeah, fake meat. So,
Russian prostitutes, apparently.
apparently. So Task Manager. We covered Task Manager a minute ago, but Task Manager is processes and applications. Windows has gotten very sneaky because if you only have the little Task Manager open, it's going to say that that computer is only running one process because Bill Gates hides all of his Windows processes running in the background. He won't show you those. The only way you can make it show all of that is you have to maximize the window, and then you have to click on the button that says show hidden processes, and you're going to go from running one process to running about 100 because Bill doesn't want you to know he's a slob and he's got lots of things running in the background. Okay. Again, to get to Task Manager, it's the lovely 3-finger salute, Control-Alt-Delete. It used to take you right to Task Manager. Now it takes you to a sub-menu and you have to choose Task Manager as one of your 4 possible choices. Right.
Control-Shift-Escape will take you right to the tab.
Oh, does it? Control-Shift-Escape rather than Control-Alt-Delete? Okay. Device Manager. You guys are actually going to want to get into Device Manager every so often. What they don't show you, which is kind of sad, is all the way at the very bottom under the USB stuff, there's going to be an entry for our USB board, right? Because our USB board is a device and it's plugged into Device Manager. So in order to see the cameras, we have to see the USB board first, right? So if you don't see the USB board, you're also not going to see the cameras, because if I can't see the first thing in line, I can't see the second thing in line. However, if you can't see your cameras, but you can see your USB board, that at least tells you that your computer, the USB cable from the computer to the USB board is connected. The power supply inside the USB board is running and providing power, and then we can at least see the first board. You know, usually what'll happen when your cameras start dropping in and out because you keep unplugging and plugging in the USB cable because the pin is burnt, but at least I got to my first board. I may not be able to get past that, but at least I can get to the first board. Each individual camera has its own thing, so you are going to have 4 USB cameras because they're 4 devices. Okay, but that's a nice little hardware check. You know, it's like, well, I don't see it blinking. You know, you can always just go into Device Manager and see if, you know, because if Windows doesn't see it and doesn't list it, it's never going to work, right? So then at least you can sort of minimize it. Do I have a software issue or do I have a hardware issue? Right? If it doesn't show up on Device Manager, I have a hardware issue. Doesn't matter how much software I throw at the computer, it's still never going to work. I don't have to care about this because that computer no longer exists. Windows Startup folder. You can't even get to the Startup folder anymore. Bill hides it on you. You actually have to search for the stinking Startup folder in Windows 10. It used to be so much easier. Changing the Windows Service Pack. That was for XP only. Activating Windows. You guys need to be very, 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 very freaking happy you don't have to activate Windows because it was terrible. 33 is good if you have no idea what you're doing inside of a computer. 33 is good because it tells you how to read folders and subfolders and versions. It throws in backing up characterization files, but that's also on page 71, so I'm not quite sure why they put it in page 33. Page 71 is good. Normally I spend a decent amount of time on this, but I already went through this Wednesday with the HD guy, right? Because the HD guy needed to know this. If you don't remember how to do it, though, like if you don't remember which files to rename, 34 is a great little refresher that helps you to remember which 2 file folders you need to rename. Again, it's common in Aligner. And always rename them, but always rename them Aligner something and common something, right? That way you can still access it and you still know which file folder you're looking at, right? Doesn't matter if you name it like common old or aligner old or aligner 1 and common 1 or whatever. You just need to name it something that the aligner is not going to look for. You guys are really good at unzipping folders because you guys are building your service wallets. You guys have been unzipping folders now every weekend, you know, for the last 2 or 3 weekends, trying to get all 80 of those files downloaded.
No, I sure have. I don't know about you guys. My neck's sore after. I mean,
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of zipping.
75.
Hey, whatever your deep tissue massage is, yeah,
I'm gonna take a
you
video for you guys to see if
you
it's a
keep
legit
you
massage.
keep. Oh, it is. Yeah,
No one needs to see
I was gonna say I don't.
especially if there's a happy ending to Alice.
only
Oh,
200.
this is a legit massage.
Uh huh.
Kiki says he could use.
It's like you're a black guy.
He
What
could
are
do
you talking
massage
about?
for free, Jaden.
Only $200.
She got a crush on you.
His Asian voice is so good. You have a Asian voice. Yeah.
That's what makes it so good.
So good.
It's got Americanized though. So anyway,
Very impression, I should say.
keys on 38. You guys shouldn't come across a yellow key. We stopped using yellow keys around Winalign 11 or Winalign 12. A specialty key. Let me start at the left here. A red key is a program key. Okay, the program key is Winalign 16, Winalign 17, Winalign 18, Winalign whatever. Okay. You guys are going to be replacing lots of green keys in your tenured career because this is how you update specs. Now, there's it was supposed to start in 2026. So hopefully in 2027, you're going to have 2 different keys, okay? So you're going to have a regular web specs key, which is for aligners. Basically for aligners and older quick check drive units. So right at a year ago, March, we have quick check drive, which is legacy quick check drive. Now we have something called inspection live. Okay, quick check drive still uses a Winalign architecture and still uses keys. Inspection live, which is the new quick check lane that you like to push the button on, does not use any keys of any sort whatsoever because we're running web-based cloud services. So there are no keys in, well, no, that one out there had keys. It had
So,
3
you don't get to
Jake had
sell
the
it to them?
keys. Well, there's nothing to sell.
It's just right on. You still have to go in and do a spec update. You just scan the.
No, you don't.
I just
In
did
inspection
a
live.
new inspection.
Yeah.
The old ones are like.
The old ones are just like an alignment machine. You're still going to have to put the new key in, download it off the web, put it on your service wallet, and do an update. But inspection live, since everything is cloud-based and it's running services rather than programs, it's running services. There's nothing for you guys to update. You don't have to worry about updating a Winalign version. You don't have to worry about updating a spec version.
What key do they sell us in our stocking order for $1?
18. It'll be an orange key, and the orange key, rather than saying plus, will say sales. Okay? A sales key basically will turn anything into anything, and it will authorize anything to do everything. Okay? So that's why in the computers at the hotel, there are 2 sales keys in it because it allows that computer to not only be a Winalign computer, it allows it to be a Winalign HD computer. So that way, if you guys want to go in and look at HD stuff, you can, in the very first setup question, it asks you, do you want to be Winalign or Winalign HD? And then those 2 computers at the hotel, they'll both do that.
Do you
Okay.
think they're ever going to move to having everything in the cloud? Like,
I guess it depends on how Inspection Live goes, right? You know, if we can make Inspection Live work, and it seems to be working just fine.
So when you go to sell specs, so essentially we won't sell specs for quick checks, right? We'll
You will
just-
not sell any. Yeah, you won't sell
You know,
anything.
install it, walk away from it, and come fix it when it doesn't connect to the internet.
Yeah.
I don't understand the difference between traditional spec, update spec key and what specs where you go online and use specs.
So web specs is just one aspect of the spec key. So right now, you guys go out. When do you guys go out to update specs? Twice a year. November is one. May is the other. So close. I know. You'll still be around at 45 days in July. Honda and Acura asked us to update their Ultimate ADAS 4 times a year, just because we did all the current model. It's like everything else. We did all the current model years, and now we're backfilling stuff. I will say this much: at NADA, we had the November release of specs, and the car that we had, we couldn't do the TV targets to ProPark. We actually had to install the February release of specs, and then all of a sudden, rather than having 4 recalibrations, there was 8 recalibrations. So just by changing from November, you're good. You're good. Just from going from November specs to February specs, we doubled how much that one car could do. So we keep adding new stuff. I have no idea what he said, but that's fine. Love you, Neil. But
Dude, it was just
he was falling asleep. He was hitting pretty hard. I don't know if it was the coleslaw or what, but something. It was the mac and cheese. So, but anyway, so a red key is a program key. The green key is your specification key. And again, when you're updating specs, you are not updating. Oh, back to you. I'm sorry. Web specs. So you go out twice a year. You physically right now have to go out twice a year. You have to go out in November and you have to go out in May. Well, that doesn't mean we're not releasing new specs maybe once a week or maybe once every other week. Someone will give us a car. So you can go out to the internet just like we did to look for that spec on that 2026, whatever that was. Who asked me to do that? Oh, it was Neil that asked me to do that. Neil yesterday when we were in HD Bay, asked me to look up a 2026 spec for an international car to see if we had it in our spec database. So you put in the November spec update, and then, I don't know, Honda comes out with a new car in January. Normally, the Honda dealership wouldn't get that spec release until May when the next spec comes out. But let's just say you're at a body shop or something and they need that new spec, or that's an OEM. The Honda dealership wants that new spec. You can actually go out to it's just an internet site. You can log into that internet site, and you can download that new Honda spec in January to that local computer. Okay, now it doesn't allow you to copy it because you can't download it to like a medium, like a thumb drive. It has to download to that computer, but that way, that alignment computer who's at the Honda shop, they can have the newer spec way before May comes out. So that's why they call them web specs. Web specs goes back all the way to Winaline 7. The very first HunterNet website didn't used to be called HunterNet. It used to be called Shop Results. And part of the shopresults.net website was web specs. You have factory specs, and then you have something called user specs. If you user specs, we allow you guys to download 50 specs. If you download spec 51, spec number 1 is going to fall off. And if you download 52, then spec number 2 is going to fall. So it's like a rolling 50. You'd be hard pressed to find anybody who's ever downloaded more than 2 specs off of the WebSpec webpage. But it was a way, because back then, way back in Winterline 7, we only gave out spec updates once a year. And that spec update that we did once a year was in May, right? So new cars are coming out in like September, but we couldn't even give you specs until May. So we started to give you a web spec key so you could go out early and you could get all the new car specs before we could get out there in May to give you everything else. So it's like an enhanced feature.
And this might be a silly question, I don't know to talk about this, but like, if what would happen if like a customer goes, oh, why would I update the specs when I can just get new ones off the internet?
Because we give you a code that's only good for 13 months. And then after 13 months, we cut off your access unless you buy the new specs. And then we give you a new code.
Gotta call the customer every opportunity. That's saving.
And we turn into Mike at that point. We're like, you're
Somebody
paying
might
us.
invent that.
You're
Okay,
paying
you're welcome.
us.
So,
There
I
you
gotta
go.
sit down and figure out how much soon, because I only have 45 days, so I'm gonna
You're
sit down and.
Gonna have to up your game.
So again, but with the new quick check drives, with them being 100% online for specs, so we won't have anything to do with selling those spec updates. Those are just going to come from, or do they automatically do, or does
They
the customer have to
automatically do.
purchase them?
Every morning at 3 a.m. the computer reboots, and when the computer reboots, its first order of business is to go out there and look for updates.
Okay.
So as the computer's rebooting, the services go, hey, I'm on 1.0.8, and then the internet's going to be like, hey, I'm on 1.0.9, so let me download the new service to the computer.
So what if they're like old school and they still shut their computer down overnight? Will it update when it turns back on? Or
No, because it only does it at 3 a.m. Now because you can only change the update from either like, it's only an hour on either side. You can either do like 2 or 3 or 4, but it wants to do it in the middle of the night.
So your salesman should be telling us, you know,
So.
turn the stop every night.
So
Yeah.
if they ever went to that with the liners, we don't have that gravy anymore.
Yes and no. So with Inspection Live, we're doing sort of like QuickBooks is doing, right? QuickBooks went online, so rather than paying like $800 a year for QuickBooks one time, now you're paying, was it $100 or is it 90? Somewhere between 90 and $100 a month, right? So it's called a subscription based. So we figured out we could turn the inspection process into a subscription based process. Okay. So the thing that really drove this is you have a spec update for the inspection lane, but you also have something called a body damage camera images update. Okay. We take pictures of the car. So we take 40 5-megapixel pictures of that car. So that's 200 megs worth of pictures of every car that rolls through every quick check drive that's ever been out there. We don't have that kind of, we don't have a server farm. 2, we don't want to invest in a server farm that big. So we just use Microsoft Azure server farm. So, but they bill us for that. So it's not like we're going to take that. So we turn that around and bill the customer. So for body, so you can get, if you don't pay, so if you just want regular body damage camera images, they're only good for like 15 days. If you want the extended body damage cameras, they're good for 90 days, which a lot of people like the 90-day thing, because most people aren't going to come back in 2 weeks, or sometimes you're in for an engine job or you're in for a transmission job. The car might be in for more than 2 weeks before you even get the car back. Or it's a body shop, and body shop cars are going to be there for a very long time. So most people want the 90-day storage. Well, 90-day storage costs a lot of money because we're renting it from Bill, right? So we turn that around and we bill the customer. So you have except in Mike's area because he charges too much. But most people on a spec update is somewhere around $595 to $650 a year for the car specs. On an inspection on a quick check drive lane, after 3 years, you also have to buy, because when you buy a new lane, you got 3 years worth of images. Okay, so salespeople never bothered to tell their customer, hey, in year 4, you're going to have to buy like a $1,500 subscription to your body damage camera images, because they don't want to lose the sale over $1,500. So now it's $595. So let's just say $600 plus the $1,500. So now it's $2,100 a lane per year. Okay, so that's great for you guys. You guys are making bank. On quick check drives, right? Because if the guy has 2 quick check drive lanes, he's going to do $2,100 a lane a year because he has to buy a spec update. He has to buy the body damage camera update. He has to buy a spec update. He has to buy a body damage camera update. Yeah, well, because you're going to on an old quick check drive lane, it still has a green key, right? So I'm sorry. I'm getting there. So I'm giving you the reason why we went to a subscription-based process. Okay, so most service managers, and you can ask Jesse when he comes back in, he's not going to want to pay $2,100 a lane, because then he's not going to make, he's not going to make his bonus that month, right? Because he's spending too much money. Just all of a sudden, he's going to be like, I'm spending money, right? So because if he was smart, he would, put some money aside every month throughout the year, but he's not that smart, right? So he's just, then he comes down. So the other choice you have is you could sell that inspection lane a 3-year body damage camera. Like if you wanted to go on vacation, that's $4,500 a year, but it's good for 3 years, right? So if you go out in November and you're like, we are going to Disney World, so then it's $600 plus the $4,500. Now you have $5,100. Now you don't have to pay the $4,500 for 3 more years, right? But now that guy's practically bleeding, right? It looks like one of Mike's invoices. I mean, it is like here. So people were, the OEMs are getting, I don't want to say upset, but they're like, dude, help us out, because that's like a lot of money. So that's when it sort of pushed us into going to Inspection Live, which is subscription based. Okay. Now, Steve has been really nice, and he hasn't asked yet how he's going to make money. But I can see when he was asking the questions in his eyes, he's like, how am I making money? But he's too polite. Mike would have just already asked that question. But Steve is a kinder, gentler giant, right? So when it's sold, you're still going to make 2% to put it in. You're still going to make 5% 30 days later, right? So you're still going to make your install and your commission fees, which is about 7%. The sales guy's still going to make his 15% for being the salesperson in it. But we're going to start selling. It's a subscription based. It's somewhere around $230 to $250 a month, which is great because now the service manager has a nice steady output of money, but it's a relatively low steady of money rather than nothing Mike, or and you can always tell when Mike comes by. So it's about $230, $250 a month, which is nothing, right? So if Jesse knows that he has to program $250 a month for a subscription-based fee for Inspection Live, Jesse's going to be really happy with that, rather than having Mike come out once a year and come out. And that includes everything. So what's going to happen is the salesperson's going to get his 15% commission, but you guys are going to get a piece of that monthly commission because you're not able to sell specs or the body damage images. So obviously we're going to keep like, 200 of that dollars, and you're going to get like 30, but I don't know how much money you're going to make. I was just being funny, but yes.
Theoretically, it's
So,
like $30 a month.
yeah, so
No, I know, but you're just comparing one spec update to one yearly subscription. I just wanna know.
Yeah, but I mean, that's just.
Yeah, it's
if there's one-
360 a
that's
year
just
in
if
your
there's
pocket
one
and going on
inspection site.
Well, yeah,
So you have multiple shops.
Right.
Multiple inspections.
So what's going to happen is on the 24th of the month, which is usually when commissions are paid out, you'll have your commissions for your install commissions, and then your commissions on your installs and stuff like that. And then at the bottom, it'll say, line 1, John Smith Chevy inspection live, and there'll be a dollar amount there every month.
So they're trying to make, if they do that with the line machines, they'll try to make it comparable to what we would get if we did a spec update in person.
I'm assuming it's going to be about the same.
That's awesome.
Otherwise, we would have had a mutiny, right?
Like an uproar.
And people would be leaving. We'd be having a hard time. We would have a hard time keeping the older red shirts, right? So,
Yeah, you collect money for doing nothing.
right,
Install it,
yeah.
and then
So,
you're done.
Yeah, you're like a
You just collect
salesman.
money.
You just go and fix it right
yeah.
Yeah. Next
So,
year, then you-
but there is money for you guys every month. I honestly don't know how much that money is. We haven't gotten there yet. All the inspection lives that have gone out, we haven't started doing the subscription plan. Originally, the subscription plan was supposed to start in January. They have moved the start of the subscription plan to June.
Are people getting grandfathered in that have it currently, or?
So you have it currently. You're actually getting to use it for free.
Oh, okay. And then they're
You don't
gonna
have the
charge-
subscription every
and
month.
then they're
So if you were the other thing I think we do that for is we're trying to get people to be like early adopters because it's a new technology. So we're like, hey, if you buy it today, you can have all the way to June, and you won't have to pay the monthly fee. So we're trying to get people bought into that. We're trying to get, because then they can see. If some dude calls up with an old quick check drive and he talks to his buddy at the 20 group, I know GM has 20 groups where they get the guys together and they all start talking. And this guy over here is like, well, I bought an inspection live and I don't have to pay any of those fees anymore, right? And then the other 19 people in the group's like, we gotta up our game, right? So at some point, again in June, I don't know what I only heard recently that it was going to be about $230 a month. I have no idea how much of that money is going to go to you,
It's worth it though.
right?
You know that live inspection saved my butt so many times.
What's up? We had pictures.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Just totally.
High-speed cameras, and that was like
Yeah.
my favorite thing
Yeah.
to do is to show people that
Yeah.
we did not in fact cause that. But ours were back like 6 months.
Oh wow.
And there was
Okay.
times where that came in.
Yeah. Totally.
That was really cool.
So, but that's why because it's cloud based, right? And you guys, it's going to update itself supposedly. We'll find out. But even if it's, I don't know. To me, it would be like even if it was half price, it'd be worth it, right? Because you're not having to drive out there, you're not having to buy the key, right? Because you still have to buy the $200 key in November, right? So like my brother buys like 40 at a time, which is like, I don't know, $8,000 or something like that, right? So it's, he's just laying out money. But that way you don't have to buy the key. You don't have to push for spec sales, right? Because right now you got to get to 85% of your spec sales to be considered 100%, right? So you don't have to worry about spec sales on that because everyone's just going to get them all the time, okay? So the red key is the program key, the green key is the spec key, the orange key is called a plus key. The plus key is what does all of our premium features. Hawkeye Elite will not run without a plus key. A Hawkeye with HD sensors will run with just a red key and a green key, but a Hawkeye Elite has to have the orange key. 760 sensors has to have an orange key. Hawkeye XL has to have an orange key. Okay, that's if you want, because you're paying, you want a premium feature, you got to pay for the premium key. And it's a great way to get back all the money from R&D that it took us to figure out how to do it in the first place. So the orange key is permanent, the red key is permanent. You're going to be replacing lots of green keys. In the old days, we didn't have but one red key. So in the old days, if you had a Volkswagen Audi group, you had a Mercedes, you had a BMW, you had a, that's when the specialty key would come into play, because Volkswagen Audi group wants to boot up a little differently than regular Winaline. BMW wants to boot up a little differently than regular Winaline. So if you had that extra key, as the program's booting up, it goes, okay, I got this key, oh, I got that key, so I need to boot up this way rather than that way. So, I'm sorry? Used to be. We stopped using those. I mean, in my lifetime, I never installed one, but we used to have them all the time. Now what we do is, for some reason, the red key is now not only just Winaline or Winaline Heavy Duty, now it's Winaline VAG, Winaline BMW, Winaline MB. So now we took out a key. Now instead of having 4 keys, now you only have to have 3. The weirdest one to ever see is a Winaline HD Ford. That's a very rare key. So if you see one of those, let me know. I've never seen one of those. I know they're around. I just haven't seen them. So now, rather, like I said, it just saves us keys. It saves us key slots, and then we just make keys. We put different stickers on them. Okay. Come on. Where's the mousy mouse? Mousy mouse. There we are. I'm going to stop here. These are 2 versions of an X key. You can call them, we don't want to call them plus keys because a plus key is an orange key. So we call red keys X keys because it looks like an X. Okay. You have a full key. A full key is going to come with the sale of a new unit. It's going to be a fully authorized key. Let's just say you're going to want to go from Winaline 17 to Winaline 18. So it's going to say Winaline 18 upgrade. Okay. Again, Hunter makes sure that Hunter makes money. So when you put the upgrade key in, you're going to run you're going to run your setup.exe. The very last thing that happens is it disables this key and turns this key into a full key. Now there isn't a little guy that comes out and changes the sticker on the back of it. So 10 years from now, it's still going to say, Win 18 upgrade. But when you read it on the computer, it will act as a full key. Okay. And then if you take this key out and you return it to us, we give you $1. So, well, then it's yours and it's useless. There is a battery in there and there's an EEPROM. And we literally, I know there's a lot in there. So what we do is since there's a battery and an EEPROM, we actually send out 0s and 1s and we rewrite the EEPROM. And then the EEPROM has the word disabled written in it. So that way when you look up on what software you have in it, it'll just say disabled. And that's how we kill the key. We don't necessarily kill it, we just wipe the EEPROM. Right. So, well, that's why when you send them back for $1, we send them over to the lovely Miss Alicia, and she just goes in and she makes it the new key. So. Yeah, it doesn't work that way. Smart people have tried that. It doesn't work. We didn't have to wipe out the old spec key because the new PC came in spec. Yes, so the spec key, yes, the red key will get wiped out, but not the spec key. So and we don't call them PC upgrades, we call them alignment upgrades. We call them aligner console upgrades. Okay. So it was because there was about Yes. 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 That's because it came for an S cabinet, a P cabinet, and an R cabinet, and you don't have any of those cabinets. But we still throw away hundreds of pounds of sheet metal every time you do an aligner console upgrade. Okay. But yeah, so an aligner console upgrade comes with a full green key, but it comes with a half red key. Yeah. And
Do the one away, it's like,
yeah,
green one.
yeah, the green, yes. Because you can resell that to somebody, you know. A billion years ago, we had we don't call them round keys, we call them donut keys. I don't know, I guess someone was hungry. So you can either have a donut key or an X key. A donut key ended with Winalign 7. X keys started with Winalign 8. So that was a very long time ago. I don't know if you guys will ever see a donut key in your lifetime, but they are out there. They will work for an upgrade, but they won't work for anything else. Okay, so you have donuts and X's. Since we touched on aligner upgrade, alignment console upgrades. Okay, that's like Hunter's dirty little secret, or dirty little stepchild, or whatever you want to call it. You guys always want to sell them because you get to be your own distributor, so you make the markup on it to full 30 points, plus you get to install it, so you get the 2%, 5% to install an aligner console upgrade. The reason we call them an aligner console upgrade is because they're about $6,000. And if you call it a PC upgrade, it sounds like you're buying a PC for $6,000, right? You can go to Best Buy and you can get a decent PC for $1,200, right? So it's like, well, why can't I just go get a $1,200 PC? Why do I have to buy your $6,000 PC, right? So we avoid saying the word PC upgrade. That's why it's an aligner console upgrade. Okay.
What came with the USB laptops and all that? And as I say, yeah, you're right. It was the whole console.
I always love it. It came with a new mouse, came with a new keyboard, came with a new PC, a new USB, whole box.
Yeah, the whole USB access.
Comes with a whole new box. So what did he do to the old box? He stuck it in his other pocket. Yeah, that depends on what the PC was doing, but yeah. So you get a keyboard, a mouse, software, a PC, a USB box. The other thing an aligner console upgrade does is it restarts the factory warranty. That aligner console comes with 3-year part warranty on the USB box and the PC. Now, he either gave him a 6-month or a 1-year labor warranty, but it restarts the clock as far as part warranty. The other thing it does is it keeps up factory support, right? If so, I know, right? And he got all the money. So the other thing it does is it keeps up the factory support. If Mike or you have to call in on that unit to the lab, the lab's going to say, well, I see it's running Windows 11 or Winalign 11, and you'll be like, no, we threw in an upgrade, now it's running 18. All right, but then you can give them the order number if they ask for anything like that. But then you can continue to get factory support.
Are we able to update that information anywhere on?
So if I could go back to page 34 for a second on passwords. If anyone ever asks you for a password, give it to them. Don't hesitate. They will make you more money by doing it themselves than you'll make if you'd have just went out there in the first place. Because they will mess up the hard drive. You'll basically have to format the hard drive and reload. Basically, you'll turn into Mike every time you hand out a username and password. Okay, you're gonna wow. You're gonna be replacing. You're gonna be replacing IDE cables. You're gonna be replacing hard drives, DVD drives, motherboards, printers. because every IT person that you have ever met is the smartest IT person that IT person knows. Honestly,
Everybody else is
We used-
doing
I
that.
think
I
one
actually had to
is
create a
stupid.
liability form for West Coast Network for it to not give out the password. All right, fine. I'll give it to you, but I need you to sign this liability waiver first
Because you know, if there's a group of IT people in here, then you know they're the 10 most smartest people in the world, right? So the good thing for us is that IT people are actually quite stupid, and they don't understand how our software works, and they always want to change stuff in it. Hand out that password like free 10mm sockets. Just give it to everybody. You won't, and then just wait. Right? Just wait. 2 weeks later, the service manager is going to call you up and go, yeah, my IT guy tried, but he said he wasn't able to do that. So I'm going to have you come out here after all and get it fixed for me anyway. So by not selling it and giving it away for free, you're a team player, right? Because you know the guy's going to call back. But at least when he does call back in 2 weeks, you can be like, I'm really sorry to hear that. I was really hoping your IT guy could take care of that for you, right? Play into it. You know, pretend to be sad. Pretend to be, I'm sorry it didn't work out, but I can get out there, 2 or 3 days from now, I'll come out there and I'll see, I'll give it my best shot and I'll see if I can fix it. Right? Sound optimistic, but don't sound like Mike, right? I'll give, if your IT guy couldn't fix it, I don't know if I can fix it either, but let me see what I can do. Yeah, let me see what the HECO, the administrator HECO service.
Yeah, as it says right here, do not give out.
Again,
You ever heard the expression "give enough rope to hang themselves"?
yeah. So if they just want to put in a printer, hand out the VAG-ADM, the manager, VAG admin, give them that one if they're just trying to put in a printer. But if they, if you're talking to the guy and he's got an old HW1 and the guy's like, well, I want to buy my own PC and have my IT guy load the software. Sure. Here you go. Here's all the passwords you want. Do you want the software? I can give you the software too. All right, because I get no for free. I'll give it to him for free. I give it to him for free. That IT guy is gonna. You are just as bad as Mike. Holy cow! You guys, the hell is getting hotter. It should be hot in here right now. The flames are coming up and licking your guys' feet, and you're still alive. Holy cow! Just give it to them for free. They will mess up more on that alignment machine, and especially if they take because they'll take the old PC out and they'll take it home, right? And then they'll put in they'll put in a Dell or a Toshiba or whatever, and then you come in and you're like, well, I can't put software on that, right? I have to put it on a Hunter approved PC, right? So just if they get that way, because some places are that way, right? It's like, my IT guy says he can do it for half price. Here you go. How can I help you? I am here to help you. And then you'll make twice as much money as than you would have in the first time. So just don't hand it out unless you get unless they're trying to do they're going to try to build their own PC. Okay. You're missed. So technically, and I just thought of this, you're actually missing something because I said it before. What do we do with our version of Windows? Correct. So do I have chipset drivers for a Dell PC on there? No, I only have the HP drivers, and I only have HP drivers for a very specific motherboard. So even if the guy does go to Best Buy and he buys because he sees it's an HP PC, it says HP right on it. So even if he does go to HP and buys a PC, if he buys an HP with, the wrong motherboard in it, Windows still won't. Well, WinAlign will load, but it still won't work because WinAlign's not compatible with that motherboard. We're not as dumb as we look. So That's why you give them everything they want. Be as cooperative you can be, because in 2 more weeks, they're going to call you and they're going to be like, I just can't get this Win-A-Line program to work. You're like, I'll take a crack at it. Right? You already know what's going to happen. And then again, but that way you're not the jerk. You're not the guy that played hardball. You were helpful. You were attentive. You were trying to help the guy save money.
Loaner PC, check out all the new features while you're doing one.
Yeah. Put the loaner PC in. Right. So, Anyway, where are we? Okay. You guys need to know about 41, because 41 is important. 41, everyone tries to shortcut the system, and it don't worky. So 41 is very important because it tells you what you can and cannot do with keys. Okay. I have a Win-A-Line, I can do a Win-A-Line upgrade. Okay. I cannot do a Win-A-Line and go to a truck upgrade. Okay. You can't mix and match. You can't go from light duty to H duty. You can't go from H duty to light duty. Okay. I can go from old to new, and I can go from one version of specs to another version of specs. You can also not go from a quick check to an aligner, right? So we need to make sure we're making our money. So we're not going to let you do things that are cutting us out of the
How
money.
does that big rack go from the big semis to the guys F-250?
That's a setup question. There's a setup question for heavy duty sensors and a setup question for light duty sensors. So when you do your setup, and then targets, what targets is he using for heavy duty and what targets is he doing for light duty? But those are actual setup questions.
So an HD can be configured as a regular aligner, but a regular aligner can't be configured as an HD.
Correct. Because he's spending $15,000 more, so we got to give him his money's worth. Okay. You have to be careful if this says Win-A-Line Ford and this doesn't say Win-A-Line Upgrade Ford, it is not going to work. You have to have a Win-A-Line Upgrade Ford key. So be careful with your OEMs, because sometimes your OEMs will have special keys. And then you have to get the upgrade to match that. 3 months. 3 months and 14 different phone calls to customer service because they kept sending me a regular upgrade key. And I'm like, it's not going to work. I need, it happened to be at a Ford store. I'm like, I need a Ford upgrade key. They finally figured that out and finally sent it. So, we're going to do this together. We're going to go out in WinOps, and we'll talk about spec keys, and we'll talk about specs, and we'll talk about what they're due and what they're not due. Okay. So 43 has all of your specialty keys, and it sort of explains what all your keys does. BMW key review. There is. You weren't at a Ford OEM, where? Did they actually have it was called something Ford PSE or something like that? Professional, it was a special Ford that it brought up something special on the Ford Win-A-Line. I thought it was PSE. So, we are trying to do away. So the other thing you guys have to know about is, for us, there are two versions of HunterNet for us. Okay, everyone else in the building there is just HunterNet, and to the rest of the building, HunterNet incorporates HunterNet 1 and HunterNet 2. Okay, HunterNet 1 works like a 1980s VCR, and HunterNet 2 works like the internet. Okay, and they work very differently, and this one is very archaic because it was built in, like, I don't know, HunterNet once again started out as shop results like in Win-A-Line 7. So the architecture for HunterNet 1 is stuck in WinAlign 7 programming days. And HunterNet 2 now is all web-based, and it's cool, and it's awesome, and it's more like a Corvette, and it's, Humpty Dumpty stuff. So I'll try to explain HunterNet when we're out in front of an actual computer, because trying to do it here is a little funky. We are desperately trying to kill HunterNet 1 and only go to HunterNet 2. The whole entire rest of the world can't even get on HunterNet 1. The whole entire rest of the world can only get on HunterNet 2. And for that reason there, we are trying to take all of our grandfathered people and get them moved over to HunterNet 2. Okay. Inspection Live, the new inspection lane, is HunterNet 2 only. You can't even hook up an Inspection Live lane to HunterNet 1. Okay. But we'll go over that in a little bit. Pre-class material, yada, 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 yada. So these are also for you guys who want to know what the Serviceman's Wallet CD looks like. All of these CDs and DVDs we would give you in a container, and you would have all of these CDs and DVDs.
All the students have them above their visor.
Yeah. And I am still scrolling. Okay. All right. Yeah, it's another test. We might do the test here. What I tell you what, I do need you at least to do page 58 so that you guys understand the keys. You know what? It's early in the day. Go ahead and start on whatever question 1 is on page, 56? Go ahead and do 56, 57, 58, 59. Did they leave them in there? Yeah, go all the way up to 60. Mm.
He covered it with paper.
Yeah, I put my name on it. The other one says poison.
I'm gonna get me a water. Um, Cherry Lane.
Quickly on the thing, so you're supposed to remember that.
Jim, do we have 5?
Hmm.
So we're going to page 58, right?
Well, you do the whole thing. If I really wanted to bring you to tears, I'd tell you to do the quiz starting on page 62.